right now. So we got 61%. The phase right away means you have the privilege of having immediate use of a roadway. So right of way, if you're here first, you have the right to go first. If you don't go, you lose your right of way. A lot of beginner drivers pause. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. You've lost your right of way. So I'm letting you know this. So you want to make sure when it's your chance to go, you go. A lot of beginners, they hesitate. So when you lose your right of way, you lose your turn. Same thing at a roundabout. A lot of beginners are very confused. They pause, 2 or 3 cars go by, and then you get very confused. On your road test, you will have some of these. Let's continue. Susan, I'm letting you know you came in late, so 6:45, just letting you know. Next, the term yield means letting others go first. Susan, letting you know you came in late, 7:44, 7:45. I'm just following the rules.
I was in here. I was in here before, but my Chromebook died, kicked me out like 5 minutes.
Totally understand. I'm just letting you know. Okay? Just letting you know, Susan. I understand. Just letting you know. Just being real, being honest. That's all I can do. Yield means you let someone go first. If you're coming up to an intersection and people are walking by, you yield to the people. People have the right of way over you. Then after you yield and look, then you have the right to go. If you don't go when you yield, you lose your turn, and you're further confusing yourself or confusing others. Next, the term right of way. What does safe driving advice suggest? You must give the right of way. If the right of way means you avoid having an accident, you do that. You let the car go. You let the people go. You let the animal go. So I need you as beginning drivers, 74%. We need 80%. So this tells me some of you don't understand what this means. And this is one big area of beginning drivers. This is one big area where beginners fail because you don't understand the right of way. Uncontrolled intersection, same thing. There's no lights, there's no cars. The car to the right has the right of way. If you're not sure, you let the other person go. I'm trying to help you get a passing score. A T intersection, kind of like timeout. Who has the right of way? The person on the straight road or major road. That is the major road. If you're the side street, you have to yield. When you're driving this weekend with your instructor, you will be going through these situations. It is expected that you know it. Who has the right of way? Who goes first? If you are yielding for someone and you're making a turn, the car going straight has the right of way. Then after they go by, you make your turn. Who goes the right of way at the same scenario? The yellow car. A car is pulled over. You're closest to the parked car. You go around the car. A lot of beginners pause. They have confusion. So if you're not sure, wait. Lane reduction. Who has the right of way? This is the yellow car. If you're paused, the yellow cars on the main road, they go first. Lane reduction. That's a great knowledge test question. Uncontrolled intersection. Who has the right of way? The car that is closest to making the turn has the right of way. If you're in the intersection, you have to go across the intersection. You have to yield. These are very simple things, but they cause the most confusion and anxiety. Two-way stop. Who goes first? The first car there is the first car to go. If you do not have a sign, then you go first. It's a lot to digest. The minivan does not have a sign. They go first. If you have a sign, you have to wait. Stop sign, yield sign. Two-way stop, same scenario. Who goes first? The same thing. If you are there first and no cars are there and you have a sign, you go. If you have a sign and cars just come up, you wait. You will forget it. We will go through it. Four-way stop. Who goes first? The car on the right. Four-way stop. Scenario. Who goes second? The first car there, it's the first car to go. The second option, the car on the right. That's the second option. If you're not sure, wave the car by. Three-way stop. Same thing. If you have a stop sign, you will go last because the stop sign or yield sign takes precedence over everything else. We'll go through this. Three-way stop, same scenario. Understand the rules, the stop sign, the yield sign. Traffic light, who has the right of way? If you have a light, that takes precedent. If you do not have a light, then you will go. Uncontrolled intersection, who has the right of way? If you are turning, you have to yield to cars making their turn. For a two-way stop, for a funeral procession, who has the right of way? It says the red and white car. So they're trying to just give you scenarios. Please type in what you learned. Everyone type in what you learned. Please and thank you. Type it in right now. Yield and right of way are very confusing for beginning drivers. We want to make sure all of you understand this. We want to make sure you are understanding those elements. We're going to open this up to some question and answer. I need all of you to answer some questions and put those questions in right now. All of you should have put in a couple things you learned. You get in what you put into the class. Let's go ahead and you need to put in one or two questions for me, an instructor. I'm going straight to the chat. I ask you to put in. Okay, we have questions. Funeral procession. Funeral processions most of the time have the immediate right of way. They still have to stop at a red light because imagine a funeral procession going through. So you got to be careful. You want to use common sense, right? I've learned about going through stop signs, who goes first. At a T intersection, the car on the major road goes first. Amen. I learned about right of way. If you hesitate, you lose your turn. This is what beginning drivers do. You're like, I don't know what to do. You just lost your turn. And now another car is looking at you. And then you're looking at your instructor. I want to make sure you know what to do. Can a right of way car to the right has the right of way at a four-way stop? Yes. Police cars have the right of way over most situations if they turn on their flashers. Okay? They have priority. Construction has priority. Most people are at stop signs. Most people that are at stop signs happen to be there primarily first. It depends. What if four cars come together at the same time? The car on the right has the right of way. If you're not sure, you can let the person go by. What I've learned is that the right of way is you get to go first before someone else if you get there first. If you're not sure, you can let the person go by. Do the same stop sign rules apply if there's an emergency vehicle? The emergency vehicle will have priority over you. Again, the emergency vehicle has lights and flashers. They have priority over you. Very good. We're learning. And a question, why do I have to wait for others to go first? Because it's called the rules of the right of way. If all of you come together at the same time, you will go crash. That's why the rules are there, so we don't have accidents. If two cars come together at the same time, the one on the right goes first. If you're going across from each other, you can go. If you're turning, you have to yield and wait for the car to go straight. I like the question. It seems like we need to discuss more. This is good. Yield funeral processions in most scenarios. What all things do have priority. Police are more important than us. Ambulance are more important than us. Funeral processions are more important than us. They have priority. Construction is more important than us. So if you remember, certain vehicles in certain situations have a priority. And of course, if you're turning, you have to yield to traffic that is already there at the intersection. If a pedestrian comes and they're walking, you have to yield to them. And if you remember most of those rules and you go through when you drive the process, it's always the process. Things do have a priority. Just because you're old or young doesn't mean you have a priority. Just because you have a new car, big truck, doesn't mean you have priority. A lot of people tend to think so, but everyone has to follow the rules or we have an accident. And then the police officer will determine, well, you failed to yield. You hit the car, you received a ticket. So you need to know this because you don't want to get a ticket You do not want to get in that situation because now your car smashed. Now you're a high school junior. You don't have a car. You won't be able to go to prom, and then you lose your job. So it's really important. Roundabouts, the same thing. You yield to traffic in the roundabout. If they're in the roundabout, you yield. You let them clear through. Then you go. Question. What about roundabouts? Safer than street lights. Roundabouts and street lights, I'm confused. Are you comparing roundabouts to street lights? Roundabouts to regular intersections. Roundabouts are safer because they eliminate the conflict points. People making left turns, people making right turns. When it's a round intersection, you reduce accidents. You still can have an accident. A pedestrian still could cross. You don't see them. You hit them. You fail to yield and you go into the roundabout and hit a car. That's an accident. So roundabouts are safer than traditional intersections. Good job. A police officer in a car does have precedent. If they turn on their flashers and sirens, they have priority over you. Ambulance, police car, construction, they all have priority. So you've got to pause.